Hello, how's it going? What's up? Am I live? Hello, how are we? What's up? Hey, present people who are watching. Also, hello to future people. I should be live. I'll just, oh yeah, I am. Look at that. How's the audio? Pretty good. Okay, yeah, seems pretty good. So I'm actually live streaming right now. You know what I mean? But you might be watching this in the future, so you might be like, not really. Doesn't feel live to me. It feels pre-recorded. But everyone who's in the chat, say hi to each other. This is a rare live stream for me in general. But it's also going to be rare in the sense that I think the chat might actually survive. So we might actually have the live chat replay. Usually I play a clip that YouTube goes, no. What that's you crossed the line with that clip, you crossed my boundary, and I'm going to exert my boundary by deactivating your live chat replay, for the whole thing. So this is live. Everyone say hi to each other. We are here right now just to kind of catch up a little bit. I took the occasion to live stream because obviously this guy, James Somerton, has become quite infamous after H-Bomber Guy released a video criticizing James Somerton's extensive history of plagiarism and downplaying and denying plagiarism and other related harmful behaviors. And so, I love myself a YouTube apology. I love myself an apology in general. You might remember I talked about apologies in my videos, several times. And I still get comments about this stuff I said about apologies because people think about apologies a lot, Apologies are really fascinating and important. So I didn't watch the first apology by James Somerton. No, wait, I did watch it. I didn't stream it. Wait, did I watch? I didn't watch all of it, but I think I might have watched most of it. I kind of forget. It was pretty upsetting. It was very upsetting. He was clearly in a really bad state of mind and should not have been recording a video to any number of people, any significant number of people. So that was really tough to watch. This one I decided to live stream because it looks a lot like this is like his final answer. Because he's brought his channel back. Before he didn't have his channel back, he just had no posts here, and he just had no videos. He had privated all his videos, so he now made them all public again. Okay, this is not a lot of videos, so we can assume these are the videos where he absolutely had no plagiarism, right? He must have said, at the very least, I don't have high hopes for his YouTube presence, but he must know well enough to be like, I'm not going to leave up. At this point, I'm not going to leave up videos that have plagiarism. Thanks for giving me a layer of separation from this apology. I'd have never watched it otherwise. Yeah, I get that. That's one of the few good things about streaming. That you can sort of do that. No, streaming's cool. I don't know, it's just, I think for me, streaming has to be intentional. There has to be a point or else I'm just wasting everybody's time, So I didn't watch, I didn't want to talk about the first apology. It was really upsetting. This one looks like he put a lot more thought into it. It's been months now. I mean, the description is what I should have said in December. So yeah, it's not surprising that he wasn't ready to respond in December. Like, that's not surprising that he wasn't ready to respond. Like, you don't just go from committing that amount of wrongdoing to being able to take accountability very quickly. That's not to excuse it, but that's just an obvious point. I'm trying to figure out how to pop out this chat here, whatever. I mean, I'll just zoom in or something. But so yeah, so that's just kind of it was unsurprising that he didn't know what to say. I mean, H-Bomber guy completely snatched his shit. He completely snatched his shit. And it was there to be snatched. I mean, the guy had just completely Scott's Totsed it. You know, he had really just completely Jimmy McGilled the whole situation to a certain degree. I mean, it was just going to come about. Like, his comeuppance was going to come up. So I'm very curious to see what he says here, right? Because, first of all, okay, there's discussion of self-harm, so be ready for that in 28 minutes from when we start. I mean, honestly, first of all, if you're discussing self-harm 28 minutes in, you could probably just give the content warning in the video. Just first of all, I guess, is one thing I'll say. Just as a content, from one content creator to another, you don't need to announce your trigger warning at the beginning of your video if it only pertains to something 28 minutes into your video. That's a very intentional choice that I would not make. Another choice I would not make, speaking of choices I would not make, did someone bring up the subject of choices I would not make? Yeah, so I don't know, like, what is, you know, I'm live streaming, as I said, so chat, if I can refer to you as chat, if I may. Do we know each other well enough for me to call you chat? What do you think about titling his video this? Because that's quite a choice. Like, he's, you know, I mean, obviously we all know why he's doing that. I mean, I don't have to explain. H-Bomber guy is famous for, am I the only YouTuber who like deactivated the For You thing? It's like, I just hate algorithms. Okay. Except I love them. They help me so much. You know, a measured response is literally the H-Bomber guy brand. All right. So climate denial, measured response. That's the H, and I'm not pointing out, and it's something James Somerton doesn't know. I'm pointing out, obviously he's referencing Flat Earth and a measured response. Sorry Boys, a measured response. Full disclosure, one of my favorite, probably my favorite video maker on YouTube is H-Bomb. Full disclosure, I guess I should say that. I'm not trying to hide that. I think my audience could guess that I like H-Bomb. So he's knowingly and consciously referencing the H-Bomber guy brand, which is a very, see, pickup artistry. It's a very, look, 7 years ago, H-Bomb has been doing this for seven years. He's been doing it for so long. Fucking 7. Do you realize? Oh my gosh. He's been doing it since the beginning of his channel. It's literally 9 years he's been doing it since the beginning of his channel. H-Bomb has been doing this since the beginning of his channel. And so that's the thing. Like, I don't know. It's a funny reference. Like, you know, if you're a content creator, totally do something like this for sure. In any situation other than one where you've been caught plagiarizing. Like, I just think plagiarism should kind of color your mind here as James Somerton. And you should be like, I'm not going to take something. Actually, I'm not going to appropriate his brand into my own with like, actually, that seems like the wrong thing to do. So that's my opinion. What did chat say? He plagiarized the title. I laughed at the title. So, hold on, I'm taking off my socks. Which is not, I'm not trying to point that out. I'm not trying to talk about my feet. I'm just saying that's why I'm moving around like that. If it gets the clicks, but he doesn't need to get the clicks, right? He's releasing like a bombshell video. So like he doesn't, I mean, watch it. That'd be so funny if like a video like this flopped, like no one watched it, but that's sort of unlikely. So, you know, I guess before we even get into the video, I would probably more slowly reintroduce myself. I mentioned on my podcast, which is only on the Patreon and for YouTube members, but I have this podcast I do weekly. And I mentioned that I had seen someone post like online somewhere that James Somerton had a Twitter this last month or whatever, and just like on private, and would post, and at one point posted something about how, oh, I've gotten a lot of shit, but I really did have good lighting in some of these videos, and like had snapshots of his lighting. I was like, what, dude, what the fuck are you talking about, man? But so apparently he has been on the internet, but generally I would say in a situation like this, part of coming back is coming back slowly. I don't even know that I would public any other videos besides the apology for maybe like a month. That's just some advice, unsolicited advice with What's Therapy. And by the way, I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for coming to this chat. I'll try to get into the apology right now, and we'll kind of see what we're dealing with. I hope you're having a nice time in your life, and sorry I haven't made a video in like 9 months, by the way, but sorry, not sorry, kind of. But, eventually I'll make one, and it'll be good. But, I hope you're doing well and finding other good videos to enjoy. I certainly have. Yeah, I need some therapy. Just saw about the soldier protest for Palestinian freedom. Help me cope. Yeah, I feel you. I definitely feel you. There's a lot of extremely disturbing things that happen every single day, and you don't want to block them out, but you also have to process them. And it is a challenge. I recommend talking to people writing about things. Talking to yourself is not the worst thing, honestly. But yeah, you have to make sense of such wild events taking place. Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult to cope. But we all are doing our best. And the reason I talk about this, I'll keep this stream public when I'm done, and, I hope I do a good job, but I don't know what's going to happen exactly, but I'm hoping that I can look into what James Somerton says and we can learn something about how to apologize. I don't hate James Somerton. I'm sure he's got a lot of very good qualities, and I'm sure a lot of people love him and care about him. And I really hope he's doing well. I'm glad he's feeling well enough to post like a solid apology, honestly. And it looks like it's going to stay up. It looks like he's back with his channel. I don't have I never watched his videos. I was never a fan. If you were a fan, I don't know. I mean, you're probably not going to become a fan again, but I'm sure he'll keep making videos. But it's I think what's important to probably take away before we even start watching is like I think we have a human tendency to err on the side of taking not enough accountability. And so I tend to think it's really good to try to counteract that and try to take more than enough accountability, but not in unhealthy ways, not in like stupid, unhealthy ways, but in like really thorough, making sure you're catching everything you might be accountable for. So I'm really curious whether he's going to take accountability for things. Obviously, he was caught plagiarizing a lot of material, stealing a lot of people's work. And, I don't think this is about like IP law and like copyright law. You know what I mean? It's not about like, oh, private property is sacred. I think it's more about like, you can't steal people's work. Like, that's not okay, So, yeah. So I do, and when I say I didn't used to watch James Somerton, I don't mean to say like there's something wrong with watching him. I understand he made very like boilerplate, like fine content. I think it's similar to Illuminati, where I used to watch Illuminati, like not super long ago, probably a year or two or something. And it's like, you could easily miss like any of the weird shit, especially with plagiarism. How are you supposed to know? I mean, some of his comments were kind of fucked, There's all kinds of things. That's the other thing. I'm really curious what he's going to like leave out, because fucking H-bomb was thorough, So I'm really curious. Is James Somerton going to reference his misogyny? Like, he's apparently made all these comments that needlessly, reference a sort of negative attitude towards women, and very, very kind of weird, messed up comments. Like, is that going to make it into here? Anyways, should we get going? Let's get going. Everybody, let's start watching. And if we should watch on double speed, let me know.
Just a disclosure, this video is monetized, but revenue from it will be sent along to H-Bomber Guy's team to be dispersed to the people whose work I plagiarized.
So that, I have to laugh because that, you know, the idea of like what I should have said in December, like that's, there's a lot of things that I can understand not being able to process in December and not being able to put together. But the idea that he could have made a video and then given the money to that fund H-Bomb put together for the people that he stole stuff from, that's something he definitely could have known immediately when the H-Bomb video dropped. Like that's the type of thing, it's so obvious. So like to like start with that and give it this weight and stuff. Oh, okay. Turn off sub only mode. Oh, you found a workaround? Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, because that shouldn't fucking do that. That'd be weird. But let me know. Let me know. We got one vote for watch on double speed. Yeah, I'll start not on double speed, but we'll see. Okay. So yeah, it's just funny to give so much weight to that statement when it's like, that's like, yeah, you definitely could have. I mean, how have you not given money until now? Hopefully you've given money. I mean, you have money. Come on. You have some money. Come on.
If his team won't accept it, I'll be making monthly donations to Wikipedia and TransLifeline going forward.
Okay, you don't need to imply that there's a possibility that H-Bomb's team won't accept it. That's completely unnecessary and only has a negative impact. You could have rephrased that sentence without that.
You may have also noticed that a few of my past videos have gone up on the channel again, and revenue from those as well will also be sent along with the revenue from this video. Over the last...
No, you're not even going to say whether... Like, because as soon as I saw the videos, I was like, oh, they must not have plagiarized material, right? Like, that's the only way he would... He's not so dumb that he would make public videos that have plagiarized material. So it must be that they don't have plagiarized material. But how does he not think to say whether they don't?
Last couple of months, I've been getting in touch with the people who I plagiarized to apologize one-on-one instead of a mass apology. It's a bit difficult because many of them don't have public email addresses, so I'm still working on it, but it is a top priority of mine. I've heard back.
That's good. Obviously, that's very, very good.
Back from a few of them, and they were actually incredibly nice, accepting my apology.
When was that ever in question? What? When was that ever in question, James? See, again, that's now the second time that he's unnecessarily, like, been like, he's implying that other people could be really negative. Like, oh, if H-Bomb's team accepts it, oh, they were actually really nice. Yeah, no, we're not confused about whether other people are nice in this situation.
And just imploring me to do better in the future. So I want to thank them publicly for that. There's plenty that I haven't heard back from, and I completely understand that. In many cases, I wouldn't want to talk to me either. I also want to apologize.
Okay, so that's not what you want to do in an apology. Like you could just so if you look at that sentence he just said, he's like, I can understand if they don't get back to me because I wouldn't want to talk to me either. The second part of that sentence doesn't add any new information. It only colors it in an emotional way. So it's really the first part of the sentence that matters, because that says it. It's like you could just say that and say, I understand if they don't want to talk to me. Then you're getting the denotation across without the connotation of please feel sorry for me. And when I say this, I don't care whether James Somerton is consciously trying to act in a self-pitying way to elicit sympathy. That doesn't, the intentionality does not matter to me with something like that. So, you know, I just, yeah, that's just, to me, it doesn't matter because it's still the overall effect of negligent. It's either intentional or negligent, in which case the negligence is also bad. Like, you as an adult have the responsibility to understand, you know, if you're needlessly being self-pitying in a way that's creating, you know, an effect that only benefits you in a situation where you shouldn't be benefited, you know? Duncan Clark, take a shot every time James takes accountability. You'll be sober for the whole stream. Yeah, I'm not doing that. By the way, you have a check mark, so you must have a big YouTube channel. That's cool. Everyone check out Duncan Clark. as will I. I'm so glad we have so many nice people hanging out here. This is a very successful stream already. 20 minutes in, extremely successful with an emphasis on the stream.
Apologize to
People are going to love that one.
my audience, though. You trusted me to be a good representative of the queer community, and I was not that. I tried to be. I tried to be a voice for every member of the queer community, but that was a...
Okay. I'm going to let him talk because this is really serious and I don't want to interrupt him. But, like, I'm sorry. That sounds so bad to say I tried to be a voice for every member of the queer community. Like, I know I'm just being a dick and he means it in a nice way. And, like, but that sounds so bad. Like why not rephrase it?
And I was not that. I tried to be. I tried to be a voice for every member of the queer community, but that was a failed endeavor before it even started.
I'm sorry. See, that was on me. I shouldn't interrupt and interject. That was totally on me. He had a nice sentence that was on me.
I'm a cis white gay man. No matter how much I try to be a good spokesperson, I can never really truly understand the life experiences of other far more put upon members of the queer community.
Okay. We didn't spend enough time on the plagiarism yet. Like, the identity stuff is super relevant, and like how he let down the queer community, it deserves to be mentioned early on like this. But it feels like we've moved beyond like his identities don't matter. Definitely don't matter yet. His identities don't matter. The fact that he let down people with specific types of identities does matter and is worth referencing early on. His own identity, I do not think is, because by referencing that, it's almost like now, I haven't watched this, by the way, but now it's like, well, now we're acting like that is a relevant causal factor in the harm, but it's very much not.
This is one of the reasons that I would use their own words. But I should have made it very clear that that's what I was doing.
Yeah, he could have quoted, to be clear, he could have quoted basically as much as he did. I don't see why not. I think he could have, why not? People fucking upload anything. I gotta be careful with my swearing or else YouTube will be like, you don't have a channel anymore, actually. Bye. So by the way, if that ever happens, you know, I had a good run. But, I'll re-upload everything. I have it all saved. But yeah, anyways, so let's keep watching. Yeah. But he could have quoted everything he stole. He could have just said, here's this that I'm going to read to you for 2 minutes. Why not? Who cares? He can do that. It's YouTube.
I never, ever.
So, like, what I'm trying to say is not having those identities doesn't mean anything. What we need to know is why he was okay misrepresenting what he was doing. What happened? What was going on? When you do something really wrong, like, y'all, come on, seriously. Let's have a serious moment for a second, okay? If you're watching this, we've all done things that are wrong. We've all done bad things. Unless you're like a fucking 1-year-old or something who's like been really well behaved so far. Like, you've probably done bad things. So, like, what is it like to move through that is a really important question. One of the most important, in my opinion. But, like, what it usually entails for those big things that really matter, the big harms that really matter and, like, change you to process, I think it involves like dealing psychologically with like how did that happen psychologically? Like, how did I let that happen? How did I let that happen? You know what I mean? And like the best apologies speak to that. Like, not like, oh, what were the many different constellation of causal factors? Like how did I fucking let that slip through the cracks? You know? So it's just like, anything that's veering away from that is just like get back on track, you know?
Thought that I was the only voice out there, as some have said, but
Let me hear that again.
clear that that's what I was doing. I never, ever thought that I was the only voice out there, as some have said, but being a cis white man, I thought I might be able to win over some people who wouldn't otherwise listen.
That literally has nothing to do with it. That has nothing to do with anything. That has nothing to do with the plagiarism. Wait, let's hear that one more time.
But being a cis white, that's what I was doing. I never, ever thought that I was the only voice.
Yeah, that. So that's a straw man. Like, no one was saying that he was acting like he was the only voice. It's not literal. It's like when people try to straw man by like overly literally interpreting something. It's like the idea is that he was promoting himself as if he was like this necessary voice when he wasn't even using his own voice. That's the point. It's not, you don't interpret that super literally just so you can take issue with it while you're making an apology about something this bad. You just don't do that. You just don't take issue with shit. You just apologize when it's this big of a deal. More creators should take a page out of FD Signifier's book and actually use their platform to promote lesser known artists. Renee, yeah. Good to see you, Renee. I hope you're doing well. And yes, that's very true. And I was just saying that. I just reposted someone's video the other day. Y'all might have seen. Chris Waves, I believe his channel is. I'm going to try to repost more videos because I always want to do that. Are you using ad block? The mid-roll ads are a crucial part of the experience. I'm using, I would never admit to using ad block in a way that was public for YouTube to hear me.
But I might be able to win over some people who wouldn't otherwise listen unless it was someone who looks and sounds just like them.
Yeah, so I am a cis, white, straight male. So do I get to plagiarize even more? How much do I get to plagiarize? Because now I could win over so many people.
And so I tried speaking for everyone. And this was a horrible mistake. What I thought was being inclusive.
Fuck, I just came out as straight.
Ended up leading to a lot of people.
Now I'm going to be harassed. God.
People feeling left out and even offended. This fell upon Nick as well as a non-binary person on the ace spectrum. They wanted to include asexuality and non-binary representation in our videos, but because Nick's experience is not universal, there is no universal experience. People felt that we were delegitimizing their own experiences because we focused on Nick's, and I apologize for that. And I'm sure that Nick does as well.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I missed this part of it. I don't quite remember like how that was such an issue. I guess they spoke about these issues from a place of being overly centric on Nick's perspective. Yeah, fair enough. But like Nick's I'm sure is struggling a lot more from being associated with a plagiarist, like rather than this issue related to his non-binariness and that representation, right? Like I'm sure Nick is struggling because of you getting caught plagiarizing, right? Like that's the worst thing.
I'd also like to extend a personal apology to Jesse Earl, better known as Jesse Gender. Out of everyone that I spoke to who was also a YouTuber, Jesse was by far the kindest.
Jesse Gender seems so fucking dope. She seems so cool.
Person. I think Jesse might be one of the kindest people I've ever met or ever encountered. We never actually met in person. Because of my hot-headedness, I drew her into just this anger spiral of mine that was unwarranted and absolutely ruined a possible friendship. Jessie was actually doing her best to kind of mitigate my frustration and everything. And
Wait, what's this where you can't see the number of likes? Is that an intentional thing that he does? What's the deal with that?
at that moment, and I just wasn't allowing her to do that. And I really, truly, honestly want to apologize to her for that. Again,
Okay, that could probably be
if you ever get the chance to,
because I didn't know anything about this. I didn't know Jessie Gender was involved, so I don't know why this has to be a public thing 4 minutes into the video.
Speak with Jessie one-on-one, or if you have gotten the chance, you'll know just how nice she is and how kind. And
yeah, like he mentioned Nick so early on, but like he didn't apologize for how his plagiarism hurt Nick, right? Like I didn't miss it. Like he didn't say, "I'm sorry for how my plagiarism affected my colleague. I brought him on to work with me, and then I misbehaved so badly that it's going to taint his entire reputation." Can you imagine being Nick and going up to apply to a job he thought he was going to be able to be like, "Oh, I fucking worked with James Somerton," and now he like has to be like, "I worked with James Somerton." You know what I mean? He has one paid patron since this upload. I didn't know he made it. Yeah, I guess I did know he made his Patreon. Yeah, I don't know about how prominent. I would not put it in the description. I would not restart your Patreon at the same time. Just get a job. Just get a different job for like a year. You know, I do think you have to do that as a content creator. I think sometimes you just have to stop creating content. If you do something bad enough, just stop for like a year and then you have a chance. But if you come back after a month or two, like you don't have a chance of ever even moving on. People didn't forget. You have to move. You have to really, really give it time based on how bad you fuck up. I'm swearing too much. I might get the whole channel canceled. I'm like not even joking. Like that happened to my side channel. The YouTube got super mad at me because I got angry at Dr. Todd Grand. All right, it's pronounced Grande.
And I was a real asshole.
Oh, we can check the dislikes. Hold on. Likes and dislikes YouTube. You can just search likes and dislikes YouTube, and there's like an online tool, just a website you go to. So, oh, you're right. It doesn't work. Playback on other websites has been disabled, so that prevents it. Oh, my bad. Is there another website you can do that on? Someone in chat knows. What's the like and dislikes situation? I haven't seen the curse yet, and I don't know why. I will totally check it out. Yeah, Channel 5, it's not ideal because he left for a long time, but he didn't actually take good accountability, and he's actually gotten worse. Like, he's just sort of settled into being like I think not so like helpful, positive figure, honestly, in my opinion. He's sort of just, yeah. And I sort of had a problem with his content before. I actually privated my video about Andrew Callahan. I don't like his vibe, and I don't think he took accountability in like a genuine way. So oh, no one can see the likes and dislikes. Wow. Chat's freaking out. Everyone's like, why can't we see the dislikes? People are very upset. I'm seeing a lot of very upset people. Okay, let's keep watching. So, yeah.
For dragging her into my reactionary, unwarranted frustration. We haven't spoke since all of that happened. But Jessie, if you are watching this video, I do want you to know that I am honestly sorry for that. I hope.
Okay, I feel like you already said that. You just said that already. I didn't replay it. Like, he said that twice.
honestly. I hope everything goes as well as possible for you because you deserve all of it.
Are you still talking to Jesse?
Understanding between Jesse and I after that happened.
Like, I've been following this whole situation. I did not know Jesse Gender was even involved. Like, this is a long time talking about Jesse.
And that I do want to clear up, where someone who at least claimed to be a fan of Jesse's, did an internet and threatened to kill me, which is, being a person on the internet, death threats are unfortunately not uncommon.
I don't know if I would blame Jesse for that. I mean, like, if you think a creator, like, fosters a community where death threats are tolerated and accepted and cheered on, that's a different story. But, like, I wouldn't blame a really ethical creator just because, like, you somehow found a fan that was completely unhinged. Like, I just don't... again, don't mention that in your response if you're serious about I don't think he understands the harm he did.
At the time, though, I was in a very panicked state, and so I did report it to the police. I did not report Jesse to the police, which is the misunderstanding that people came away with.
Never heard about this, but okay, I'm glad. I guess I'm not as online as I thought, as I feared.
I did not report Jesse to the police. I would have no reason to do that. And it did end up that this person had...
I'm just calling her out publicly for being related to this situation. Like, I didn't know that this happened, but okay, I mean, before you even really give a thorough... before you give any explanation of how it happened, of how the plagiarism happened.
Had a prior record with the police of violent acts, and they actually lived quite near me. So the police...
That sucks, man. I'm really sorry. Like, that sucks.
Police took it very seriously. They took it so seriously that they implored me not to speak to Jesse, which I took their advice on, which I shouldn't have, honestly. I should have at least clarified to Jesse what was going on and not just left her hanging. And
why? Why couldn't you have just posted a different way?
So I want to, again, apologize to Jesse for that. But in that state, I listened to the police, which is, maybe not the best decision all the time because the cops don't usually have the best interests of people at heart. So,
oh my God, James Somerton is like so cool. Wow. He's like, oh, he said ACAB. Wow. What a badass. James Somerton.
Jesse, I want to apologize for that and everything else that happened. Completely understand why you would not want to speak to me ever again, but I just want you to know
way too long talking about fucking Jesse Gender. Like, you harmed so many other people. Like, why are you talking about Jesse Gender the whole time?
I am sorry. But now back on the original topic. The work Nick and I were doing on the channel, we wanted it to be, for everyone. We wanted it to be a channel where every queer person could feel welcomed, and we failed at that. That is something that in hindsight, I think is impossible to create. And that's why it's important for there to be many different queer voices in spaces like YouTube. And
okay, so why, you would want to explain, like, here's my sense of why I might not have understood the unrealistic nature of the task I was taking on, or here's why I was deluding myself about the project I was undergoing, or here's what I think was going on that was generating my ability to, like, turn a blind eye to what I was doing. Here's what I think happened. Like, you don't have to bare your soul necessarily, but, like, you have to give some sort of psychological explanation and moral sort of explanation, and not just mix like harsh words with like vague sort of self-criticisms that don't really explain anything.
What's more important is that those voices are discoverable, which is something that I should have been helping with. I often shared other queer creators on Twitter, but this was when I only had, 800, 1,000 Twitter followers, and these creators usually had a whole lot more than that. It was a weird...
All Jessie knew was for some reason the cops were contacting her about death threats to James. Yeah, like that's already horrible. That's already like, what? Like, I don't want to blame James for that. I don't know if that's his fault, but that's so unpleasant to have to deal with. Oh my gosh.
Thing, because usually they would have infinitely more Twitter followers. But
okay, you know what? I came out as heterosexual. I'm going to come out as something else too. I have a Stanley Cup. You know what? I own a Stanley Cup, and I'm going to drink from it. So here's to all the people who own a Stanley Cup and don't want to admit it and live in the shadows. You know, it doesn't have to be like that, you know? And I might be drinking from it later on, because I like water and I like staying hydrated.
Whole lot less YouTube subscribers.
So you're a straight woman.
I'm not sure what created that dichotomy, but something was definitely off with the algorithm there. There is a part of my brain that says YouTube kind of went, oh, you know, white male queer, let's push him, and, you know, ignore everyone else in the community, whereas people were able to actually discover other queer creators on Twitter and then make their way to YouTube. But
sorry, this is unrelated. Didn't Dan Olson talk about how James like has really expensive cameras in his background? That looks like a really expensive camera, but like a vague silhouette.
The YouTube algorithm kind of, that's the most negative interpretation I have of it, which
I think it's only LED if you like wash it in a dishwasher. I don't even have a dishwasher. I don't have it. I haven't had a dishwasher in so long. The jar juice is beer.
unfortunately may be true. In any case, I should have done more to share the voices of other queer people, certainly the people whose works I used, both credited and plagiarized.
I mean, that's a huge understatement. That's really an understatement.
In my videos, but also just other creators on YouTube. It's important for us as a community is vaguely...
So you want to address the worst thing first in an apology. Like, you don't want to just meander and ramble. It's not like a 4-hour Breaking Bad video. Like, you want to just start with the worst thing. And I do think you want to make the video as short as possible. I know that's hypocritical, but I think when you're making an apology video, you are essentially wasting people's time. You are making people spend their time watching your video because you did something wrong that has required them to seek the reconciliation of watching your apology. That's maybe a twisted way to see it, but I think that makes sense to see it. So you should try to, and in general, when you're writing, even making a long video, like, you still want to be economical with what you're saying. You can link a lot of things together, but you still want to be respectful of, like, where, you know, of people's time. So in general, I think making a 43-minute apology video is way too long. But I also think you should just start with, like, the worst thing, the plagiarism. And no, it's just regular IPA beer.
Defined as we are to support each other. And I didn't do that nearly enough. From day one, I was very taken in by the idea of being a YouTuber. As soon as my videos started to get recommended by the algorithm, after not releasing a new video for like 2 years, I felt like I had a short period of time to get the next videos out as soon as possible, which is why so little work was put into the writing of them. And so much was taken from other places.
But that's not why, right? Like, you have to explain, like, why those conditions, like, those conditions are not sufficient for cheating and lying. So you have to explain why you thought it was okay to bridge the gap of what was and what you wanted through unethical means. This is not a victimless crime. Like, this is like, everybody gets hurt.
Early on, I thought crediting authors in the opening credits alone was enough, especially since the
Why? You have to say why. Because that helps us understand why it won't be repeated.
videos weren't monetized early on. But I understand now, especially after speaking with some of the people who I did plagiarize, that was just, I was wrong. That was not the way to go about it. They should have been cited properly within the text of the video. They should have been called out in the video at least once verbally, as well as
That's what cited means.
Having citations on screen. If there were a whole lot of them, like with, one of the examples that H Bomber Guy used in his video was the deep cuts video. There were a whole lot of people who I, credited in the opening credits, but really it's plagiarism. They should have been cited on screen with actual citations of, links where you can find this stuff. Maybe there should have even been a bibliography that you could have gone to, like on a Google Drive.
Yeah, it's really not that much work. Like, we did this in high school, man.
Or something like that. Because, although I might have stated that the scripts were based upon the work of these authors,
I noticed the slip there. He initially said who were plagiarized, but then he took more direct language and said who I plagiarized. Oh, that's cool. I didn't actually notice that. That's cool.
In many cases, wasn't just based on their work. It was their work, word for word. In some cases, I did get permission, like with the Evil Queens Disney video. I'll put the email up on the screen.
This is after he posted the video. This is after he posted it. And it says, and I'm grateful for the quote shout out on the title card. It was the one thing that I was going to request, that you give me at least a bit of citation. Bro, this makes you look so bad. If I had this type of interaction with an author, y'all, I would be heartbroken. I would take that as the most harsh criticism.
That I got from Sean Griffin, where he did give me permission.
After the fact, man.
To publish the video. I sent the finished video to him.
My bad. I'm sorry. Am I wrong again? My bad. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe it wasn't after the fact. This is September 10th. Maybe it wasn't after the fact.
And he watched it and he gave me permission. But
my mistake. Maybe he did that before. Seems like you should do it before you write the video, honestly. I would never, do you realize how much work? I don't know if you realize, I don't know if you've made a video, if you finish a video, send it to an author, and you stole 10 minutes of the video, that's dozens of hours of work. You have to, it's wasted. So that would be really odd. And maybe he might have even meant that he had posted the video. I don't even know.
In most cases.
But still, it seems like that's not consent. That's you've already, it felt like the person in the email couldn't have said no. It felt like it was already done. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I didn't get permission and thought that just putting the author's name in the opening credits was enough. I was much more interested in the production of the videos than the writing of them at this point. Why? So after 3 or 4...
You have to say why.
4 videos, I brought Nick on as...
You have to say why, and let me say why. You have to say why because it gives more detailed explanation of what went wrong. And then we can get into why that went wrong. Little kids say why? Because they're fucking smart. I gotta stop swearing. YouTube's gonna ban the stream. You have to explain. It's hollow otherwise. Anyone can say the right things. I want to understand the thought process. What went wrong?
The writing of them at this point. So after 3 or 4 videos, I brought Nick on as a main writer for the channel. The idea is that they would write the vast majority of the scripts. I would film, voice, and edit the videos, and we'd split the money that came in.
Okay, so did Nick do the plagiarism at all? That's not implied by H-Bomb's video. H-Bomb never implies that Nick does plagiarism.
roommates at the time, and Nick didn't have a job, so I figured it would help both of us. This is actually when we had some of our biggest videos, like the ones talking about Wiccan and Hulkling.
I don't care.
Where we lucked out because it came out right in time for WandaVision to hit.
Couldn't care less.
And then the Killing Stalking video, which became our biggest video by far. The Sadism of Class was another one. These videos weren't plagiarized, and we loved making them.
Why? Why did you choose to not plagiarize those videos?
It didn't take long for the channel income to start growing. Lucky timing, really, because this was around the same time that I was laid off, since the company that I was working for downsized once COVID hit its second year. Nick and I had both grown up poor, so we started doing what we could to try and stabilize our income as much as possible. This meant putting out more videos, which meant I had to take over more of the writing duties. But since filming, editing, usually doing multiple edits because of YouTube copyright issues as well.
He still has to be vague about it. Like, he still has to be like YouTube copyright issues. I don't know. Like, James hasn't explicitly said that Nick did plagiarism. He just like is dawdling a lot.
Well as managing the channel and dealing with my mom.
Hey, what's therapy? Name every video you didn't plagiarize and sound super proud of it. It's hard to name. Yeah, all my videos are stolen from James Somerton. So the thought of plagiarizing a video is just so weird, and I get it. Okay, you're doing it for money and it's your main job, but like, it's online. Like, you're gonna get caught. Like, how do you expect this to go? What's the plan here? It's not even like, yeah, like just so you can make some fucking video about Disney, like.
Recent cancer diagnosis, all of that was already taking up so much of my
I'm sorry, what? Hold on.
Copyright issues, as well as managing the channel.
What was that?
And dealing with my mom's.
Someone just gave me money on Patreon. Thanks, Linguist Sam. Yeah, everyone, you can give me money on Patreon if you want. Let me post it in the chat. I do a weekly podcast, and then there's a lot of stuff going back a while ago. If you want, you can do that if you want, but no pressure. I do not. I have a day job. I'm not going to start plagiarizing if I don't get enough Patreon supporters. When you're as focused on the production quality as I am, it's impossible not to plagiarize.
Recent cancer diagnosis, all of that was already taking up
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the line.
Dealing with my mom's recent.
Oh, his mom's cancer. I'm sorry, that sucks, man. But like, it doesn't really have to do with what we're. Like, you should just be like, I was dealing with these XYZs, blah blah blah. But then you have to explain why. Under that stress, you still made the decision to plagiarize. So hopefully he does, because that's not sufficient to explain it.
Cancer diagnosis, all of that was already taking up so much of my time and attention. This led to a lot of copy and pasting blocks of text into scripts. My intention.
This led to a lot of copy and pasting. How? Like, how do you do that? I would honestly try to like, give me a description of like, put me in your mind state. Like, when did you give me a situation where you decided to do that for the first time? Or like, how did you think that was okay? Like, and then like the first time you did it to another YouTuber, like stealing even that like video from, who was it? They used to be called Are They Gay? Is it Alexander Avila? Like, that's wild, yo. Do you know how much time I put into editing my Breaking Bad video? I can't even explain. Like, it's so many hours to get all those clips, screen cap all of those clips. And like, they weren't even all on Netflix, and then like bring them and then get them edited all to how I'm talking syllabically and like meaning wise and stuff. It takes so much time. If someone stole that, even just that without what I said, that's theft. Like, give me money and credit and don't fucking even do it, because I wouldn't be okay with it regardless. Thanks for $5. Speaking of giving me money. Nightmare. That's funny. Fun fact, they made a movie based off James in the 1997 stars Jim Carrey called Liar Liar. Enjoy the dollar. Thank you. I think Liar Liar is a classic. I saw that one. I think it's a classic.
At the time was to use these as a jumping off point once Nick and I sat down to edit the script, because that's what we would do. I would sort of put in my parts, Nick would put in his parts, and then we would sit down at a table, read through the whole script, and kind of try and make it seem cohesive. But, and here's something I'm sure a lot of people will call a bullshit excuse. I have memory issues because of a head injury from...
It's irrelevant. I don't know what that's relevant.
When I was a child. They're actually getting worse. I've talked about it on streams and in videos. So yes, it is real.
I'm sure it's real, but I just don't think it's relevant. I don't see how that could be relevant.
But some people will call it a bullshit excuse anyway. The head injury is actually what led to me having epilepsy, which is why I can't work in any job that involves physical labor.
That's really hard, and I am very empathetic to that. I definitely understand. That's super hard to have epilepsy, especially from a head injury. That's super hard. It's just, it's not relevant to what we're talking about, but it's good to know, and he has the right to share it, for sure.
Employers can't get insurance for me to like lift things or operate vehicles and stuff like that. Leave me alone. I actually did marketing for a restaurant group for a little while, but got let go when they found out that I was epileptic because, at least according to them, I couldn't be insured to be in the kitchens where I needed to be to film videos and take photos and stuff like that.
Film videos and take photos. He was filming videos in the kitchen? What? It doesn't matter. Whatever.
But anyway, when it came to editing the scripts, I couldn't remember what I'd written and what had been copy-pasted. We should have just chucked.
That doesn't even matter. That's irrelevant. Like, that's so irrelevant. Like, I can think of 10 different ways you could have avoided that. Like, copy and paste and then put it in bold. Copy and paste and then put it in italics. Don't copy and paste ever. Like, it's just an irrelevant point. It has no bearing on anything. This doesn't add up to anything. These are separate interlocking things. Oh, we were really struggling financially, and my mom had cancer, and I have memory issues. This doesn't add up to an explanation. It's just get to the heart of it. And he's, unfortunately, I'm not feeling confident that he's going to get to the heart of it.
Chucked out everything that I had put into the script and filled them in with wholly original thoughts. Or I should have been taking notes on where things came from so that we could at least cite them in the videos, if nothing else. But I never did that. According to my therapist, my not thinking to do that probably stems from my recently diagnosed ADHD, but I don't know if I'm willing to say that, really. Maybe it was, or maybe it was just plain laziness. Maybe I thought.
Okay, it's just not that simple. It's not like ADHD is like a creature that caused the action. It's just an explanation for a complicated set of limitations and qualities that affect your behavior. So it's not the cause, it's a helpful explanation and sort of framework to look at your failure to just do any number of things. I mean, I used to have ADD. I probably would still qualify for ADHD. I'm not really hampered by it, so it probably wouldn't necessarily qualify. But you just set reminders. You do any number of different things. I mean, a lot of people have ADHD because it's just a way to describe a sort of reaction to the world we live in that a lot of people will have. And so you just have to adapt to the way that you are and adapt to the world in the process. And so it's not that complicated, and it has no bearing in terms of responsibility. I mean, the question is, why would you Why were you negligent? Why did you create a situation where a forgetful moment could lead to something like this,
Thought that this was somewhere that I could cut a corner because I was torn in so many other directions. Honestly, I can't remember, like I said. Memory issues. But yes, we should have just thrown out my contributions to the scripts and filled them in with original writing.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry to report we have an object on the lip. I am very sorry to report that we have a lip object. See, this is why you gotta go like this. You can't have objects on your lip. Not in this business, let me tell you. In this business, if you have an object on your lip, you're out on the street. Period.
But we felt like we had too much of a time crunch. We felt like we had to get videos out more often to feed the algorithm. And then my mom died, and I became completely useless. I couldn't think straight at all. So Nick had to completely take over writing duties while I dealt with things you deal with after a person dies. My dad, you see, he can't read or write. He was very poor when he was a kid. So he had to leave school really young to work in order to feed his many brothers and sisters.
I do think there's value in him sharing this information. I don't think he's led up to it in an appropriate way. I think with the correct amount of accountability, you could lead to an explanation of like, here's the struggles that I've dealt with. I think it is valid. You can talk about it and it's worthwhile and helpful to understand. But I think you have to really, really understand just how much of it is your fault before you get there. That would then make that kind of more comprehensible and palatable.
So I had to deal with all the legal stuff after my mom died, as well as
we have multiple people saying it feels manipulative. Yeah, well, I can understand why you feel that way. Popping on to say hi, good to see you active again. Thank you. I'm active. Oh yeah, I meant to make this joke at the beginning. There's two songs that come to mind for this situation. One is It Too Late Now to Say Sorry, which I don't think is the full title of the song, but you know the song I'm talking about. The other is the Eminem song, Guess Who's Back, 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 Back Again, Again. So vote in the chat. Which do you think is more appropriate? Is it too late now to say sorry? Missing more than just your monetization. Yeah. Or guess who's back, 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 back again, back again. James is back, back, back. Somerton. So let me know which is the song of the night here.
Making sure that all my dad's bills were paid and whatnot, especially after his income was basically cut in half. There was supposed to be a buffer here, money-wise, as my mom had a life insurance policy that was going to be split between my dad and myself. But the insurance company, RBC Insurance, so if you have insurance with them, maybe rethink that, refused to pay out the policy because my mother never mentioned that she had family with diabetes. She didn't have diabetes, but because...
That's horrible. I mean, obviously. Oh, fuck.
Because she didn't...
Follow Salamanca in the chat. That's scary.
Think to mention that she had family...
Oh, James Somerton, Jimmy McGill. Coincidence?
With diabetes, it apparently voided the policy. All they did was refund a year's worth of premiums that she'd paid, even though she'd been paying them for about 15 years. One of the things, the main thing, really, that I was supposed to do with my portion of the insurance money was I was supposed to make a movie. These were direct instructions from my mom herself. She'd been very much behind me when I decided, when I was about 10, that I wanted to be a filmmaker. And she wanted me to finally have the opportunity to do that, even if she never got to see it. So when the life insurance went bust, I decided to try and crowdfund it, at least enough to make a short film or two. This is what Telos grew out of. So.
Okay. And so even under these circumstances, why were you okay copying and stealing?
What happened with Telos? Let me break down the timeline. When
Because, like, all of this makes it so he was in a worse situation, but it doesn't have bearing on why he would have plagiarized. Like, I get needing money, but, like, plagiarism, it just... I don't know. It doesn't take that long to sit down and just make stuff up. I feel like plagiarism doesn't... It saves you some time, but it's like the harm is so obvious. Anyone could perceive it. So the question is, why were you temporarily blind to the obvious harm of plagiarism? Like, whenever someone does something wrong and harmful, the question is, like, why did they not realize that that would be harmful? That's sort of the question that I want to know to understand how much they've moved on from that harm. So
we launched the campaign in February of 2022, we hoped to raise $3,000 to produce a short film that we hoped that we would then use as a sort of proof of concept to attract investors, either private, public, or through Canada's telefilm program, to produce a feature. Some people online have stated that $3,000 never would have covered the cost of a short film, but these were not going to be unionized movies, and we were very clear about that up front.
Okay.
We wanted to be able to pay actors as best that we could, but we never expected to be able to reach typical union wages. The crew was going to be made up of people that I had gone to film school with. Everyone, including Nick and myself, we were roommates at the time living on the East Coast, were more than happy to work.
I mean, he can't answer that because the answer is likely, I did not have empathy and did not care about the harm. And then I go, why? And then we start getting somewhere, you know?
Behind the scenes for free. We planned on writing a movie with a small cast and only 1 or 2 locations, ideally ones that we could get access to for free. Again, we assumed all of the money would go to the actors. We kind of looked at this as a sort of community theater troupe, but for filmmaking. After the campaign launched, it did infinitely better than we could have expected.
Yeah, like, you know how, like, teenagers will, like, work on a project? Yeah, we were just doing that, but we were, like, adults, and we were exploiting each other, and one of us was in charge.
Good, and our ambitions grew. We started planning to make a feature instead of a short film, and the plan was to take this around to film festivals. The feature we settled on, entitled Final Girl, was about the lone survivor of a slasher movie type massacre 10 years after the fact.
So H Bomber Guy in his video pointed out that James Somerton based this movie Final Girl on a book, Final Girl Support Group or something it's called. What's it called? Hold on. Final Girl book. Final Girls. Is it just called Final Girls? No. Is it just called Final Girls? Support Group. The Final Girl Support Group, it's called. Yeah. So, H Bomber Guy points out that James Somerton tweeted about this book, like, not shortly before, showing he liked it, and then made a movie seemingly plagiarizing it called Final Girl. So let's see if James says that. I don't know.
As she was publishing a book about her ordeal, drawing attention from people online, convinced that she had actually been the killer all along. In the end, we would find out that the killer was the boyfriend of the girl who the main character had secretly been dating at the time of the killings. And most of the people he killed were, in his eyes, collateral damage as he made his way to our main character, because he was not happy that his girlfriend was cheating.
Don't particularly care. Honestly, don't care. I mean, it sounds like a great plot. I couldn't care less.
On him with a girl. And to those who say that I plagiarized the plot from the novel Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix, read the book. It's nothing like the plot of the movie.
Okay, so he didn't plagiarize it. He just made something called this almost the same thing shortly after liking it. Okay, yeah, maybe he didn't plagiarize it. I guess I don't remember H-Bomb pointing out specific stuff on that point, right? So maybe he didn't plagiarize. Maybe he didn't plagiarize that one, I guess. I don't know. Is that possible? I don't remember H-Bomb pointing out specific points of plagiarism with the final girl thing. But more just the issue of crowdfunding tens of thousands of dollars and never producing anything. So that was, I think, the main problem. And then the plagiarism was just like, it happened to seem like it was also plagiarism. But it does seem like it was still similar, right? Like, does he explain how it was different, or does he just say read the book? Because no one's going to read the book, man. You know that.
And the final girl is a trope in horror movies. So if using the final girl trope is plagiarism, then basically everyone who's made a slasher movie since Texas Chainsaw Massacre owes the Tobe Hooper estate some money. But anyway, Nick and I planned out the movie, but I didn't want to start writing it until the
That seems like a false comparison. It seems like a bit of a false comparison. But yeah, maybe final girl is a trope, but it just seems like it's also... like, you shouldn't be looking for points to score when you've done something really wrong.
Campaign ended and the money was actually deposited. After the insurance debacle, I didn't want to count our chickens before they hatched. When the money was officially deposited, I immediately began work on the screenplay. I finished it that summer, soon after Nick had left to spend 2 months at home in Ottawa, Ontario with family.
Summer is such a vague span.
I sent the script to him to read right away because I was proud.
There are parts of the world where it's summer year-round. Let me tell you, it's summer year-round. Some parts of the world.
Very proud of it. But Nick didn't want to share his opinion on it until he got back to the East Coast. So in the meantime, I put out a preliminary casting call on local job boards. When Nick got back, he believed that the script needed a page 1 rework. This is also when he told me that he'd be moving back to Ontario permanently soon, as he wanted to live closer to family and live in a bigger city with more opportunities.
I don't care. And also, what's a page 1 rework and why do I care?
This was a punch to the gut for me. We had been living together since 2015 and had become quite...
Oh my gosh. I just can't imagine. Like, I just can't imagine posting this. It's just way too much. Like, no one needs to know. And it's like, is Nick okay with you saying this? And like, why? Like, really? This is essential to you?
Dependent on each other. I felt like there was no way that I could make this movie without him. And since I had received not that many replies to the initial casting call, I took this as a sign that Ontario would be a better place to launch Telos, even though...
Right, but he never updated the Kickstarter, right? Like, that's something H-Bomb claims. So unless James denies that, he never updated the Kickstarter. So, and all of these problems are irrelevant. The question is, why didn't he tell the Kickstarter about these problems? There is a way to tell them about every single one.
All my professional film connections were on the East Coast. That was a mistake. There, I had free access to the campground that would serve as the setting for a good portion of the movie, as well as easy access to any number of houses, apartments, and even offices that friends of friends would let me use to shoot. In Ontario, I had none of that, which immediately put the brakes on Final Girl since there was no conceivable way of filming it, at least not within the budget that we had. After Nick and I moved to the...
Cool, maybe it would have been good to update the Kickstarter about that.
Toronto area, he decided that he actually wanted to move home to...
He claims to still have all the money. Wow, I look forward to hearing that. That's interesting.
Ottawa, to the Ottawa area, about 5 hours away.
Are we agreeing it would have been better for him to say nothing than making this video? Thank you for asking that question. No, I don't agree. No, I'm glad he made a video. This is where he's at. This is what he's got to offer. This is the accountability he has. I think that's a great question, though. No, I think you should always take accountability. Give it your best shot. be a human. Like, live up to your potential and take accountability. You can always improve. You don't have to be afraid of anything, any sort of accountability. You can face it head on. He doesn't do a good job, but it's better than nothing. Yeah, I do think it's better than nothing.
At least for a little while. In the meantime, he would take a train to the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, once a month.
GTA 5.
To work on YouTube videos for a few days and then head back. This went on for a little...
Yeah, this is just one video that is whole Telos thing planned to make. They plan to make like a bunch of videos according to H-Bomb's video. They plan to make a bunch of movies according to H-Bomb's video. So we don't need that much detail about one of the movies. Give us an overview about why you kept changing what you were working on and not really telling people how little progress you were making. And don't you think it's unfair to take all that money and stuff?
Less than a year. So I began brainstorming new movies that we could film in Ontario. This is where the multiple posters and teaser trailers came from. I was trying to create something tangible.
Sorry, wait, say that again?
Began brainstorming new movies that we could film in Ontario. This is where the multiple posters and teaser trailers came from.
Well, okay. Coming up with posters and teaser trailers is one thing. Posting them online as if they're in progress is a different thing, right? Those are different things.
Trying to create something tangible to show that work was still being done with Telos. I wrote multiple treatments for movies over the next few months, and Nick and I eventually landed on one called Antisocial, a murder mystery about a former social media clique who had gone their separate ways on very bad terms, and they were coming together for a reunion at a sort of VidCon event.
I literally don't care at all. I don't care, and I'm sure it's a great movie, but you're making it sound bad. Don't give us the details. We don't need to hear it right now.
And they were all sharing a house, and then some of them were going to start showing up dead. Around this same time, summer of 2023, Nick had moved to the GTA full-time. He and I spent weeks working out exactly how the murder mystery...
He moved to the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area. Is that really how people say it? Just say, Toronto. I don't know. He moved to the GTA. Yeah, we lost him to the GTA.
Would parse out in the movie. We had a bunch of whiteboards up on my wall, and we were just breaking it down piece by piece. I'd put out a new casting call in the GTA and received hundreds of responses. So I was planning on casting as soon as the script was finished. But after trying to work out the numbers as far as paying actors went, plus locations, food, costumes, as well as the equipment that we'd already purchased and the legal costs of setting up Telos as a business, we realized that we'd gone way too big with this movie. The movie had too many characters and too many locations, and it was just...
Okay, so then you'd want to cut out a lot of this explanation, but then you'd want to just explain, why did you make that mistake, right? We don't just need to... An explanation is not just a statement of facts. That's its summary. An explanation tells me how one fact led to another and what would have had to be different for one fact to not lead to another, right? So, I don't need to know all these details. I just want to know why you were okay taking all the money you did and not producing anything.
Just way too complex to be able to pull off with the budget. So I started working on a script for a movie called The Listener, about a true crime podcaster focused on the mysterious deaths of home.
Was I wrong? Chat, he didn't update his Kickstarter, right? I didn't make that up. I'm not trying to spread misinformation. That's what I heard. I don't know that that's true. Did he update his Kickstarter when all this was going on, or did he not? What do we think on that front? Because, I'm not the authority on this. I didn't write the book on James Somerton. I'm just writing the stream on James Somerton. So trying to do it responsibly. So what do you all think about that? Also, how are we doing? We got 115 people watching, and they're people watching. They're people watching me, and I'm people. So how are you all doing? Are you having a good time? I'll delete the Patreon pin tweet. That's a little extra at this point. We were talking about it earlier, I swear. It wasn't just out of nowhere. Are you having a good time? Are you okay? How are you doing? Do you need water or anything? Do you have a Stanley Cup? How are you doing? How's everything? So okay. I guess cool. Oh, hey, Died Famous. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Good. Working on homework in the background. That's nice. I love not having homework. That's the best thing about being an adult, is not having homework. And if you get a job where you have homework as an adult, fair enough. You probably have a cool job, but I don't like having homework, So it's a cool thing about being a therapist. You don't have homework. I mean, you sometimes have work outside of the appointments, but usually you get to step away from your work, and so. Stanley Cup propaganda stream. Well, I mean, my channel is sponsored by StanleyCup.gov. So, I mean, it's just normal for me.
Homeless gay man.
Okay, let's keep watching a little bit, and then I'm going to take a bathroom break. So, quick bathroom break warning. Don't be shocked when I do take a bathroom break soon. Okay, been drinking out of this fucking Stanley Cup. I have to stop swearing. YouTube is so serious about that stuff now. Yeah, I did mention the measured response thing. I think it's hilarious that he chose to take that in a video where he addresses plagiarism.
In his city. I was a fair way into the script when we realized it'd be about a year before we could even film anything, since winter was on its way and the story relied heavily on a summer setting.
Somerton.
So we went back to the drawing board yet again, finally settling on a modern day adaptation.
I'm an adult in school to be a social worker. Let's go, Adam. Social workers all day. It's the best way to be.
Of The Vampire, based on the book by John Polidori.
Oh,
and make sure to leave a like and subscribe.
That's the Absolutely Kid, who has a YouTube channel. Check him out. It's called The Absolutely Kid. Rory GV, thanks for becoming a member. Check out the podcast. Let me know if it's not good.
It's one of the original works of published vampire fiction. It's never received a proper film adaptation and was in public domain, so we thought it would be a great choice. And the cast could be kept down to basically 5 characters, with only 2 of them being on screen most of the time. Nick and I both wrote treatments for it, which we planned on.
Okay, I'm getting a little bit lost in the sauce here, so I'm sorry, but the thing to keep in mind is he should be summarizing all of this. This could be one sentence. You want to summarize it. You have to deal with your subject matter at the level of abstraction that's appropriate to the context. You know what I mean? So in an apology, you want to be very abstract when you're summing up a lot of things and really quickly getting to the point. You know, so you don't want to waste your time necessarily in the muck. You just want to get to the point. And a good deal of summary would be really easy to do here. You know, you can imagine him saying, here's how we got back on track with this video project, but I still decided to, not update the Kickstarter about it. And here's what I think was going on for me, and here's why I'm different now, and here's how I'll make sure it'll never happen again. We haven't gotten any. So, I mean, just to be clear, H-Bomb does his measured responses about climate denial, pickup artists, flat earthers. The whole premise is you do a measured response to something not measured. You do a measured response to something insane. So, I get that it's a joke and stuff, but, that's part of why it falls flat, besides that it's in a plagiarism video. You're doing a measured response to something that is itself very measured, bro. So it doesn't, like, you don't do a measured response to a measured response. Maybe I'm being ridiculous.
Planned on melding together into a final treatment that we would write the script based off of. We'd had a meeting about it, and we were talking about how best to move forward, how fast we could get the script written, how long it would take to cast, how soon we could start shooting. We knew that it had been a while since the initial funding of Telos came in, and we wanted to get something concrete out as soon as possible.
I shouldn't have to be sitting here wondering if he actually updated the Kickstarter or not. That should be something that crosses his mind. Oh, I have to mention and apologize for not updating the Kickstarter, or mention that I did update the Kickstarter. He definitely didn't, right? Because H-Bomb says he didn't. And he wouldn't get that wrong. And then James would have mentioned if that was wrong. It would have in the first 30 seconds, probably. It's an exaggeration. I'm sorry for exaggerating. But, like, come on. You're not even going to mention that you didn't update the Kickstarter? Are you ever going to mention that? No spoilers in the chat.
After the meeting, we went to dinner. And
what'd you have for dinner, man? And what was the server wearing? And what did they serve you? And how was their were they in a good mood?
While at dinner, I started getting messages about the H-Bomber guy video.
Oh, okay. I was joking, but it actually is like a scene for a happening.
We were in over our heads once we left the East Coast.
So he was out at dinner with
was
Nick
never
when the H-Bomb video dropped?
Possible. After the meeting, we went to go that it had been a while since the initial funding.
Right? It was Nick and him, right?
I started getting messages about the H-Bomber guy video. We were in over our heads once we left the East Coast, but the intention was never, ever to take the money and run. I was so insanely excited about getting
I don't care what the intention was. Is that what happened? It seems like it's kind of what happened. How did you let that happen? That's the question. That's the question. When you've done something wrong, how did you let it happen? We can all move on. We can all get better. Of course. But you have to understand how the wrongdoing happened so you can really make amends and make sure it never happens again. Living amends is the bare minimum. Living amends is when you make sure you don't do the wrong ever again. You make sure you live as if, you improve that part of yourself that caused that wrong. So living amends is the bare minimum. And then the money amends is good too. Other amends is good too. But living amends, but to get there and to give people confidence that you're there, you have to explain how the wrongdoing occurred. So people understand, you understand how the wrongdoing occurred. You can avoid it. And maybe say exactly how it'll not happen in the future.
To make
or sometimes you don't even have to do that explicitly. If you do the first part well enough, it's already implied that you get how it won't happen again.
It's a reality. I was excited about getting to make a short film, let alone a feature. It's always been my dream to make movies. So
is the focus on the microphone in his video and everything else is blurry? That's kind of funny. I think you're right.
Telos meant
it's not sharp. He's not in focus fully.
And means the world to me. For Nick, it was a very exciting project, but not his passion. Nick wanted to write novels. He still does.
Okay, I don't care. And we're going to take a break, and I'm going to go pee. And you're going to go hang out, take a break, chat with each other, call your family or friends. You're going to do whatever you're going to leave. Some of you are just going to leave, and I'm never going to see you again. I'm never going to see you ever again. And it's going to be wild to imagine. But thanks for hanging out, and I'll be back in a few, and we'll finish the video, right? I don't have anywhere to go. Yeah. Okay. So cool. See you soon. Bye. Yeah, sorry about that. I thought I had the music going, but I didn't. So let's see if I can get I haven't streamed in a while. I thought the music was all queued up. Let's see if I can try that again. It's not gonna work, I don't think. So we might just have it be black and muted, and you can all meditate and have a moment of mindfulness and just kind of like appreciate like what kind of, what brought us all here. Okay, let me see. I'll try to get it. Let me see. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, let's go. No, it's not working, right? It's not, the media source is not there, I don't think. Nah. Maybe? Okay, hold on. Let me try it. I know you can all hear me. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. New break video. Nah, this is not working. Okay. So I'll see you in a few minutes. Hold on, hey, I'm just gonna come back for a second. I'll see you in a few minutes, and we're just gonna have it be totally black and silent, and it's gonna be really fun. And if you're watching in the future, just feel free to fast forward. And this is how we weed out the people who, can't handle the pitch black. Why doesn't the break music work? Is a fair question. Does anyone ever stop and wonder why the break music doesn't work? Okay, I'll be back in a few minutes. Bye. Let's try to get that audio right. Sorry about the tech stuff, y'all. Yeah, I mean, you know, the lack of any visual or auditory stimulation on the break is not ideal. It's not ideal. You know, everyone who's watched this stream before knows I usually have original visuals and music that I've made. And it didn't work this time. And, you know, we'll have to investigate. I think a lot of people are going to get fired over that. There's going to be a lot of people fired. This is going to be, you're going to see a whole new face, a whole new everything next time, you know, next time I upload. There's going to be a lot of people fired over that incident. It's going to be called the blackout incident. And it's going to be a source of mass firing. But hey, cheers to that. And how's everybody doing? How was your break? Oh my gosh, how was break? Oh my gosh, how was your break? Oh my gosh, how was your break? Did you have a good break? So we are watching part 2. No, I'm just kidding. It is part 2. It's his second apology attempt, but this is the final apology. This is the final girl of apologies, which is funny if you've been watching. We're going to watch the second half of his apology. We're not watching it double speed. I just can't do it. I'm sorry. I know it's the reasonable thing to do, but I can't watch double speed. I got really good news from my doctor, so I'm ecstatic. Let's go. Dub in the chat. $1.5, $1.25. All right. Well, if you all are asking for it, let's see. Okay, as long as it doesn't mess it up too much.
Nick looked at this as a good creative outlet that was way more fulfilling than writing video essays. I should have stayed where I was. And
yeah, it does sort of help. We don't need the dramatic pauses, I guess. Yeah.
Not gone to Ontario. The move uprooted everything that was solid about Telos, and it took a whole year to get it back onto even anything close to stable footing. But I am working with a producer now, so you can expect an actual product from Telos this year.
Okay. I mean, he didn't address the problem, right? Like, I don't know, like being like, oh, I'll make good doesn't really explain why you didn't make good, you know?
Will likely be a short film to start off, but there is going to be something coming out of Telos this year.
Who wants to see your short film? I'm sorry, man. You have to stop for now. You've done like really bad plagiarism. Like, this is really extensive plagiarism, man. This is not one case of plagiarism, dude. This is like a lot of plagiarism. That's a lot of people's work that you stole. Like, I wouldn't publish anything until you've paid it all back somehow. His new Patreon has Telos in the name. Jesus Christ. Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm subscribed to Sean, Thought Slime, Big Joel, Not Even a Show, John the Duncan, Hoots, Leo Vader, Left Reckoning, and not James of Telos. A thank you on every video. Early access to... Dude, what? How do you feel ready to have a Patreon? The queerness of pop. Oh my god, I'm sorry. That's just so funny. I guess to come back with such a bang, like to really be like fully ready to come back, like just 2 months later, it's just, to me, it reveals a lack of seriousness. And I'm sure the queerness of Bob's Burgers is a very valid subject, but like that's 63,000 for one short film 2 years later. Everybody loves a good short film. Everybody wants to pay a lot of money for a short film. The queerness of Asperger's, the 33. That's a lot of... How are you releasing 2 videos the same day, man? I don't want to know.
I know I've lost your trust, but I will make nothing financially from this project. The money that is there will go wholly to paying queer artists to work on a queer film. I am not, nor have
Your queer film?
I ever intended to be, one of the people paid by Telos. Neither was Nick. We made this very clear to everyone who asked.
So how do you make a living? Right? Like, you make the ad revenue from your videos, right? Or you did, obviously. You don't anymore. But that's a lot of money. I mean, and then you have the Patreon, you have the Telos. So you didn't take, are you saying you didn't take any of the Telos money? Ever? You didn't use ever any of it in any way, even to sustain yourself?
Our work on Telos is also when the YouTube channel started getting sponsors, which, as I said, as someone who grew up poor, I basically accepted all of them. Except
Okay. So what does that have to do?
for a few that I didn't think lined up.
I mean, if you have a lot of sponsors, you could feel the pressure to like pump out videos for sure. I've never had a sponsor, so I don't know. No sponsors ever reached out to me. I mean, I've gotten like, I think Twitch like automated like random games or whatever. Like, oh, we want a sponsor. But I've never gotten like an actual sponsor request. So I don't, because I don't upload, I don't think regularly enough or something. But if you took a lot of sponsors, that doesn't explain like the whole, you know, plagiarism, obviously, in any way, shape, or form. Yeah.
Message of the channel or had some bad news surrounding them. There were a couple that had some anti-trans stuff going on in the news, and I just didn't want to associate with that. But by accepting as many sponsors as we did, which became very important when Nick and I started living apart and suddenly had 2 rents to pay, we ended up needing to produce.
It is kind of weird to be like, I didn't want to be associated with the anti-trans stuff, rather than like, I didn't want to associate with it, you know? It's more like I care about the perception of me rather than like I care about my values.
Even more videos, which along with the work on Telos and making sure everything was okay with me.
I genuinely thought you were sponsored by Stanley Cups. Not yet. But hey, you know, one day.
Dad, while living thousands of kilometers away, meant I had even less time for writing.
Why you have a... No, that's a misunderstanding.
Putting more stress on Nick and leading to even more copy pasting from me. That's what led to us putting out, I think, 6 videos in 1 month at one point. It might have been 5, but in any case, it was way too damn many videos to go out in 1 month. We tried to take the summer off from YouTube in 2023 to work on Telos exclusively, but even that went up in smoke because my housing situation just... I won't go into it here. I've talked about it ad nauseum on streams and stuff. If you followed me on social media, you know the clusterfuck I ended up in.
Oh, you're talking about James Somerton. Oh, really? Did he post transphobic stuff? Really? That's unfortunate. But yeah, even just the way he said that implied that he didn't really see it from like he didn't really get it. I don't know.
That led to me moving twice in 2 months. In the last couple of months, I received a lot of emails, as you can imagine, many from people who were rightfully let down. Some from people threatening everything from toxic.
Yeah, sorry, what?
Some with the kindest words of support.
He did misgender people. I totally forgot. See, there are so many parts in H-Bomb's video. I forgot. Yeah, he misgendered people to like try to make some weird point. He tried to like make the point that they didn't understand the gay male experience, right? And so he like tried to say they were women and they weren't. It was that the point he was trying to make, and it was like, you don't have to make that point, and you're wrong. Like, what are you doing, and why would you do that?
I've ever heard, and others simply asking why I made it so difficult to contact me and if I was okay. They wanted to know why, as they put it, I nuked my social media presence.
Sorry, who did?
And others simply asking because of the internet. Some with the kindest words.
Just emails. They wanted to know why you nuked it. Okay.
Of support I've ever heard, and others simply asking why I made it so difficult to contact me and if I was okay. They wanted to know why, as they put it, I nuked my social media presence.
Yeah, I don't know if he intentionally misgendered people. It might have been unintentional. I guess I don't know, but it's like super negligent. Like, how do you not look that up? It's like public information and stuff. Like, you're making a video. Like, it's not acceptable. Yeah.
To be frank, it's because I didn't want to exist anymore.
No, he said queer women get to represent themselves in television and cited 2 non-women folks. Right. Yeah, sorry. It was a different point. It was about how, like, yeah, he said queer women get to represent themselves, and he cited 2 people who weren't women. Like he must have been able to make the point a different way. So it's laziness, and he explains it by poverty and this and that. But it's like, it's not explained. I mean, and having epilepsy, and like, you could, yeah, there's no way that justifies cutting corners to such an extent.
If you watched my honestly horrendous apology video back in December, you know I tried to make that happen. The not existing thing. But it was more intense than taking too many pills. It's not that I didn't.
Okay, so this is the part where the content warning about suicidality was referred. So if you don't want to hear talk about suicide and thoughts of suicide, you should have tuned out about 15 seconds ago. I apologize for being slow to the gun on that one. Pardon that's a bad metaphor. But basically here, I guess he's going to talk about really struggling. And so that's very serious, obviously. And I'm so sorry for him that he struggled like this. It's so sad. I mean, people deal with so much hate, and it's so unnecessary, especially as a public figure. I'm sure he dealt with so much unnecessary harshness, and I'm sure, he clearly hasn't fully gotten the point regardless. You know what I mean? So, like, being hateful to someone, it doesn't help them get the point. I talk about sort of in my videos, like, maybe a small portion of Chuck's hatred and his actions of Jimmy and so on is motivated by a desire to, like, try to get him to do something positive, to get him to change. Oh, maybe he'll change. And it just doesn't always work that way. And so it's like, people will pour on this hate on a public figure like James. It's not going to get him to get self-awareness. It's going to be a process, So, yeah, I mean, it's sad that he would have to deal with so much difficult backlash, but it's also sad that he made himself so vulnerable to taking accountability by doing such wrongdoing. So it is his fault for engaging in such actions that he would ultimately have to take responsibility. He set himself up for the situation for sure, yeah.
Want to be alive anymore. It's that I wished I'd never existed at all, that everyone I'd ever known would be better off had I just never been there.
And if you're watching this, I understand if you've ever felt this way. I've felt this way before, but it's not true. People would not be better off with you gone. There's no way. That's never the case. So never think like that. It's very irrational and stupid.
Very George Bailey, which is fitting, given that it was Christmas time. It's only thanks to some very, very dedicated doctors and nurses and one very good friend that I'm even here able to film this right now. I'm not going to name her because I don't want to expose anyone else to the small but seriously unstable group of people who watched the plagiarism in YouTube video and thought, well, he should be dead. Like I said,
it's not that, though. It's not about that video. It's just like, when you're a public figure, like, you do encounter that it's not about the video itself. Like, that's just a marginal group of, like, unstable individuals that have access to the internet. Like, that's not anything to attribute to a specific video.
It was a very small group, but when they find out your address, and some of them are actually in your city, they can be terrifying. And they did find my address. And at least a couple of them showed up while I was at the hospital. My neighbors did report them to the police, and I won't go into any more details than that. I'm not sure if I legally even can, but
no
there's a
need
reason
at all. Totally not necessary at all. honestly. I didn't need to know any of that.
I left Ontario within a week of getting the okay to do so from the doctors. So what's next then? Like I said, you'll notice that a few of my videos are live again on the channel. These ones don't come from plagiarized content. And for the most
finally mentions that 30 minutes into it. Yeah, I would have mentioned that early on.
part are written entirely by Nick. Nick lost 3 years worth of work
Yeah, because of you.
when everything on the channel was taken down. And that's simply not fair to Nick. He worked hard writing those videos
Come on, you gotta say that it was your fault, right?
and deserves to have something to.
Yo, by the
point
way,
to.
can we take a pause for a second on a separate subject? Do we have any baseball fans in the chat? Because baseball season is starting back up. Can I get some excitement about baseball in the chat? Y'all like baseball? It's such a relaxing game. They're just like, pew, oh, strike. Oh, another one. It's like so relaxing, you know what I mean? So anyways, just wanted to take a brief pause. I'm sponsored by the Major League Baseball Association. They pay me $20 million every stream to mention them once. So check out baseball. All right, back to James Somerton. Did you see their see-through uniforms? I didn't actually see pictures. I read about it, though. I thought that was funny. Yeah, that's great. I think it's great. You know, whatever they have to do to get more viewers and more fans, I think is fantastic. I totally understand. I assume it was intentional. You know, they say it was unintentional. I assume it was intentional. Yeah, I'm a Dodgers fan in the sense that I watch the Dodgers. I don't care which teams win or lose. I just want to see some good baseball. But the Dodgers are, oh my gosh, this season are going to be so crazy good. It's like unfathomable. It's unfathomable. Yeah, it's going to be wild. Yeah. So I love baseball.
When he's looking for new writing work. I've also done some heavy editing on other videos that did contain other people's writing, breaking it down to only original content, again, so that Nick has an actual portfolio of work.
Wait, did you though? Because if you edited the videos and then uploaded them, they would be recent. But if none of them are recent, then I don't understand how you did that. Because you can't do that in the creator studio on YouTube. Like, you can't edit that extensively, I don't think. You can't edit out multiple chunks, right? No way, right? Can you? Can you edit out multiple discrete chunks in the YouTube creator studio? Because otherwise, I don't understand that. How are you saying you edited them, but they're uploaded months and years ago?
Mentioned at the beginning of the video, revenue from these will be going to the H Bomber Guy team to be sent out to the writers I plagiarized from or donated to charity. However it works out in the end. These edited videos will be going back up on the channel in the next few days, I think.
My mistake. See, I jumped the gun again. I made a streamer mistake. He's saying the edited videos will come up soon. My mistake. I retract what I said. Retracted. I disavow.
2 completed video essays that we didn't actually get to release.
How does he remember what content is stolen? I thought he couldn't remember. Yeah. You can actually edit out multiple segments. Okay. Really? Wow. That's good, I guess. Yeah.
Before everything happened. There's also some recent videos that didn't have any plagiarism that the sponsor asked to be taken down and their ads removed. So they'll also be going back up without the sponsors, obviously. And soon I will be releasing a new video.
I mean, let's be real, y'all. At the end of the day, like, videos are not that important. Like, I mean, they're not that important. Like, you can just, like, not re-upload all your videos or, like, republish them. I don't know. Maybe I would feel like I'd want to start over, you know? Like, if I did something that wrong, like, maybe I'd feel like I wanted to start over. Maybe even a new channel. I think not using the subscriber base you garnered on the back of thievery is part of making amends. I think you just relinquish that channel and you post a statement saying, everything you did wrong, a really good apology. You never used the channel again. You start a new channel. Telos Revisited, and then you know, do whatever the heck you frickin' want.
Written entirely by me, properly cited, with all sources credited. Maybe no one will watch it, but I hope you do. I want to prove that I have the ability to do this without abusing other people's work. It's a very
Yeah, I think that's what Hans Niemann said going through the chess cheating stuff. He's like, I want to prove that I can win, so I'm playing extra hard now to make up for it after these cheating accusations that I admitted to and then walked back. He didn't say that last part, but it's like, oh, I want to prove that I didn't do that, but like you know you did do the thing, so like just forget having something to prove for now. That's, I think, excessive here, you know, and just focus on being decent. You know, don't try to be amazing, just try to be decent for now, because you've been way worse than that up until now, you know. So when you're way worse than that, you just want to kind of get up to decent as quick as you can.
different kind of video than I used to make, though. I'd say it's more of a documentary than a video essay. You won't find my opinions anywhere in there, just cited facts. I'd like to keep making videos.
Couldn't care less. But are you going to address the misogyny? Because you only have 11 minutes.
It's new ones about people and events in gay history and definitive gay movies that you maybe never heard of, stuff like that. It's actually something that I planned on doing this year anyway. There would be 2 videos a month. Nick would write a video essay, and I would write one of these documentary-style videos that would fulfill the 2 videos per month sponsorship deal that we had at the time. I have no sponsors now, so probably not going to be 2 videos a month. It'll probably just be the one, which will give more time.
Good. I'm glad that you have no sponsors.
For research and citation and crediting and making sure that there is no misinformation.
I mean, he's going to get like 20,000 views a video. Like the channel's screwed. Like you can't do this. This is the thing. Like if you take extreme amounts of accountability, you actually get to re-enter society. You actually get to be trusted again. But you can't do this. Like you're just going to, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I don't think, like Illuminati hasn't done a real apology. I assume because she's been in court, according to some other stuff I saw online, you know. But so, you know, that's a horrible excuse, and she's completely screwed herself permanently. But you know, that's what she wanted to do. But James is not the same. They're different people. You know, he wants to, maybe he deserves a little bit more understanding. He didn't really prove it in this video, but it's sort of like, I get that he's struggled a lot, but like, I'll just say, like, I don't have the confidence that he really understands why he chose to steal. I don't really get that impression.
Videos, which I know.
Let me know if you disagree in the chat.
I know that misinformation made its way into our past videos. That was not something that we intended.
That's not the point. Yeah, people know that.
In some cases, it was information that I was told by people that I considered experts.
That's called a bad source.
In other cases, it was information that we had researched. In other cases, it was things that Nick had learned in university. The point being, it was never malicious.
A lot of harm is not malicious, and that doesn't matter, and it's not relevant. And the point is, it's neglectful. It's in the category of neglectful. It's not in the category of malicious. So it's neglectful harm, and still it's harm that was caused by neglect, and you are responsible for that neglect. And you have to understand what led to that neglect. And that is possible. It doesn't have to be malice. You can understand neglect. What led to it? What allowed you to tolerate that, you know, unethical neglect?
We weren't trying to lie about things, despite what a lot of people think.
At what point in this video, if this was a session, would you tell him to stop? I mean, look, that's a funny question, and I wanted to answer it because I'm a therapist. like, you don't have to interrupt people as a therapist, but like, I would certainly be asking questions that are very nice and compassionate versions of the stuff I'm saying, like trying to help him really explore his own responsibility, because at the end of the day, that's how we heal, is by understanding our responsibility.
We were not trying to spread misinformation. That was not ever our intention. And that's something else that I want to apologize for. As for my Patreon, everyone can stop worrying about me relaunching it right in time for a billing cycle. That will not be happening. I don't want anyone who either doesn't know about the plagiarism or simply forgot to unsubscribe to get billed. So I'm going to
He made a new Patreon.
start from zero. I have
Do that with your channel. I honestly think you have to. Don't you agree, chat? I think you do. I think what he did was bad enough that you have to start over. I think what he did, that was like 20 videos. What was that? 10 videos? 15? How many videos was that? I think you have to start over. I think you have to start over. I think you earn people's respect by saying, wow, I just was so unethical. I just didn't even care at all. And I'm going to give that up. It's over. I can't do that. But I still want to make videos. I'm going to start from scratch. You could do it again. You have all the skills, the knowledge. You could do it again. It's not rocket surgery. You have to give up on it. You have to give up on you can't. It's like colonialism. You have to give back what you stole. You can't just be like, all right, we're good. 2-state solution. We're good. Let's call it right here. It's like you have to. You can't do that. You have to give back what you stole. So that's just amends. That's how it works. Let's see. Chat is saying I'm brilliant. My opinions are all correct. Getting a lot of your opinions are correct. I'm just joking. But yeah. Cool. Yeah, people say, yeah, I think you just start with a new channel. I think that's part of it. You do have to let go of the gains you made off of that. That was a lot of plagiarism. That's not 1 or 2 videos. That was a lot of plagiarism.
I've put together a new Patreon account. So if you want to support...
Because he didn't have to, you know what I mean? He could have waited and made a new Patreon in like 6 months.
My documentaries about gay history, fantastic. Honestly, your faith in me after everything means the world to me.
I don't have faith in you, but yeah, free Palestine, as the chat says. Absolutely, I of course support Palestine not being terrorized anymore. That would be fantastic.
Not, I completely understand. Like I said, I've lost your trust. I'm going to work my ass off to earn it back, though. And I know for some of you, I'll never be able to do that, but I'm going to try anyway. There's a link in the description to the Patreon if you want to join it, where you'll be able to see the 2 yet to be released videos right now, as well as, take part in other stuff that will be on there, like a book club.
I mean, I'm happy for him, frankly, that he's like going to make videos and really speak his own mind, but he doesn't do a great job of taking accountability. I guess if I try to step back and stop being like, too judgmental, like, I guess, do I think he does a good job? It feels very performative. It feels very rehearsed. It doesn't feel genuine. And that's just my impression. I do believe he's a fine person. I don't think he's evil and stuff, but I don't think he's really currently capable of grasping the full extent of what he did. And so he did wait a bit more, and it's good that he put out a statement, but it definitely doesn't win me over, and it doesn't even like 50% win me over. That's just me. Yeah, it is a bit too much. Right, like you shouldn't wrap in your future project. Like that should be the like months down the line, like do the apology for the sake of itself. What's the philosophy? The German, like, there's got to be some German phrase for that. Like, but the thing in itself, ding, fucking, there's some word for that. But you have to just do it for the sake of itself. You have to just be like, I'm sorry, I messed up. Here's how I messed up. That's for no further purpose, for no goal, oh my God, I am not even joking, but this is so perfect, y'all. For no telos. Like, telos is a philosophy word I learned in school. Like, it's like the telomeres, which is a part of the cell, I believe, that relates to its death or something. But like, telos is like a Latin word for like the end or the final part of something. And if you're like teleography, or I don't know if that's the word for it, but like when you're focused on the telos, you're focused on the purposes that things serve. And like when you're making an apology, I don't think it should serve a purpose of promoting a means of your financial enrichment and your future projects. I think you should just make the apology. And that's, if you want a good key to am I making a good apology, ask yourself, am I making it for the sake of itself? Regardless of how they respond, regardless of whether I get forgiveness, regardless of whether I feel like I'm reassured, is it a good apology for its own merits as an apology? Ding on Sish. Thank you, David. Thank you. Ding on Sish. Thank you.
Podcasts, voting on upcoming videos, all the usual Patreon stuff. But this video is not about promoting myself.
Oh, I think that thy doth protest too much.
This video is about me apologizing, and I am incredibly sorry.
35 minutes in.
It was never my intention for anyone to...
Irrelevant. I don't care what your intentions were. Don't mention your intentions maybe in an apology. It's not important, though. Don't emphasize it. It's not important. Don't act like it vindicates you for it to not be intentional.
Feel hurt or left out or excluded. It was never my intention.
Telomeres. What did I call them? Telomeres. Thank you. What did I call it? Yeah, they facilitate the end of transcription. Thank you. That's exactly what I said, I think.
Spread misinformation. And I'm really, really sorry that happened. And, as much as I've tried to explain myself in this video, the memory issues, the ADHD, the personal things that were going on in my life with my mom getting sick and then dying and trying to make sure that my dad was okay following that and everything. Those aren't excuses. There is no excuse for what I did. There are lots of people who make videos on YouTube. There are lots of people who make podcasts, TV shows, movies, documentaries, who have shit going on in their lives that's very stressful. And they don't plagiarize people's work. There is no excuse for what I did.
So help us understand, like, what exactly happened there that you thought it was okay to, like, do that? Like, why did you think it was okay? Like, how did you imagine it playing out when you were doing it,
For everything that happened, whether it be with my mom or the memory issues, there was something I could have done to mitigate that. There's nothing I could have done about my mom getting cancer. But knowing my patrons, as I did, in hindsight, I'm pretty damn sure that if I had said, guys, I need to step away for a couple of months to deal with this, I don't think a whole lot of people would have fled the Patreon. A part of me thought they would at the time because I catastrophized, but I really don't think that would have happened.
So that part where he says, a part of me thought I did because I catastrophized, that's like we're getting into the meat of it. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And then more of that would be amazing. Like, here's why I catastrophize and what sort of patterns I can notice in the future where I'm like blowing things out of proportion and am noticing myself reacting to that and letting it lead me in unethical directions. Like, now we're getting somewhere.
Even in the very beginning, when I was like, I got to get as many videos out as possible, if I had said to those people who subscribed to the channel early on, for the next video, I want to make sure that it's fully correct and I want to make sure that, it's as high quality as it can possibly be. I don't think anyone would have, unsubscribed or not watched the next video because it didn't come out a couple of weeks after the algorithm decide.
No, you're wrong, James. Trust me. Let me tell you from experience, and all my subscribers know that I believe this. You have to upload it every week, once a week, on the clock, like I do, once a week, on the week, every single week. You do not miss an upload. I do not miss an upload. Every single week I upload a video, significant length, very extensive. I'm known for that. So I think you're wrong about that point, but
I did that I was important for some reason. I convinced myself of these things, but I don't think, in hindsight, looking at it, I don't think any of that would have happened. And so there is no excuse for the misinformation, and there is certainly no excuse for the plagiarism.
By the way, everyone check out Simply Snaps' channel. She made a really dope video about The Legend of Zelda, which is a video game, apparently. And it is so good. And if you haven't checked it out, you really should. She's so good. It's such a good video. Check it out.
Fucked up. Bad.
Come on, don't get me demonetized, James.
I stole people's words and thoughts and opinions.
Hold on, I'm about to release a 4-hour video about the What's Therapy content farm. Hey, you're allowed to. You're allowed to.
That they worked incredibly hard writing and publishing and finding someone to publish their thoughts and opinions and research. Hard research that they had done. And, in some cases, I put their names in the opening credits, which I thought was fine, but...
Why? Who told you that was fine? I have never heard anyone say that was fine. How could that be fine? How? How could that ever be fine? Who thinks that's fine? It's remarkable.
I said, I've spoken with some of these people now, and I understand why that was not okay. Because putting someone's name in the opening credits, okay, here's a list of people. Here's, 7.
Did he go to high school? I don't mean to be rude, but it just feels like you should intuitively know that that's not okay.
People who are, even if it was, everyone, even if it wasn't, taking giant chunks of their work, paragraphs at a time, even if it was just a sentence here or there, putting their name in the opening credits doesn't tell anyone where their work is in the video. Nobody can say, oh, I really liked that opinion, or wow, that's a really, smart observation. I want to read more from this person. And then, to find something you found interesting, you have to go play detective. And so, yes, just putting their name in the opening credits was wrong. I thought it was cool and, cinematic, but it was wrong. Citations should have been done properly. There should never have been just chunks of text being put into videos. There were times, like with the queer history.
Wow, this is good. This should have been a minute or two in for sure. I guess it's not sufficient, but it's something. It's certainly something.
Hollywood videos that I released this past spring, they were based directly on The Celluloid Closet by Vito Russo, the book, not the documentary. I expanded on it quite a bit, but it was based directly on Vito's work, and I credited him in the opening credits. And I thought it was okay to just do that because the book was out of print and Vito had...
If you haven't seen H-Bomb's video, you're not getting a full depiction from the words he's speaking, but he's doing a fine job if you've seen H-Bomb's video. It's not horrible.
Passed away, unfortunately, from HIV complications due to HIV and AIDS. And
I did get the sense that James Somerton just didn't understand how citing worked to some degree, and not that that's an excuse, but it is kind of interesting to think about where do you we're not born knowing how to cite things, but when you're making videos on YouTube, a certain degree of conscientiousness is expected and kind of respected, So, yeah, you don't have to be academic about it, but let me put it this way. When you're making something, obviously we've all made stuff, you can imagine the effect it's going to have. So you don't ignore that question of how's this going to come across? You just ignore the feeling of how it feels to answer that question in your mind. Because we're all going to ask ourselves that question and say, how is this going to come across? What are people going to think? But he must have told himself, well, they're going to think people are going to see this and think I'm smart. And then they're going to think I came up with this and whatever. It's not going to hurt anyone. let me ask you that. Like, we try to get into that with the Better Call Saul videos. Like, how do people justify this, right? Like, they're like, well, it's not going to hurt anybody. That's like the common thing. And I never did enough of a good job in my videos, like connecting that to the everyday feeling that a lot of people, I think, are driven by, which is like, well, when they're behaving unethically, like, it's not going to hurt anybody. Like, I'll just, I'll get away with it. Like, I tried to draw connections enough, but it's a big thing. Like, the way we justify doing something unethical by sort of saying like, well, in this selective way, it won't cause a negative reaction. It's like, well, maybe that's not the only way to look at it. I don't know. There's a lot of more analysis, I think, to be done. But anyways, I think, yeah, I don't know. Whatever. I'm just rambling. What's chat saying? A lot of good things.
I looked at it more as extending his legacy, making sure that people knew about the work that he did. But I don't think I ever mentioned his name in those videos. He was, like I said, his name's in the opening credits, but I don't think I ever verbally mentioned his name. Someone who I have so much respect for.
Yeah, and I believe he feels bad about this. James, come on. You're a YouTuber, man. Not everyone, it's a big video, but like not everyone's going to watch 40 minutes and like you have to put this a little bit earlier, James. Like, James, this is the best part of your video, man. This is the best part of your video. A lot of this didn't even need to be there, frankly. I would say.
It's kind of an idol of mine, and I never mentioned his name. It wasn't because I didn't respect.
Yeah, like this shit, it feels bad. Like when you do something wrong and then you feel bad about it, like that's beautiful. Like,
respect him or anything like that. And it also wasn't because I wanted people to think that this was all me. Again, if that was the case, I wouldn't have put his name in the credits. I never wanted people to think that this was all me. So that's actually.
But you didn't mind if they did, right? Like, it's not that you wanted that, but you didn't mind if they did. That's the problem.
One of the videos I want to make.
I just got here. What the heck has he been talking about for the past 30 minutes? He was talking about a variety of subjects. He was talking about the interest rates and how they affect the working class. And he was talking about changes in economic structure in pre-tribal indigenous societies of Western Australia. And then he was talking about tendencies in music theory in the late 1770s. So, yeah. It's just a variety of subjects, sort of.
I want to make a documentary style video talking about Vito Russo and his life and everything that he accomplished. Because
make an apology documentary.
He didn't just write The Celluloid Closet. He did a lot more than that. He's someone that people should know about. Obviously, people can research him. There's books about him. But I know, it's easier to sit down and watch a 20 or 30 minute.
You can never really do justice when you do something wrong this bad, right? Like, you can never really make up for it. Some of it is irreparable harm. So you need to know that. You need to account for that and think about that. And then in your response, you need to just like not try. Don't even try. Don't even think of that as possible. Just do what you can to make sure you'll never do that harm again. Don't think about like, it's not your job to spread his legacy now. Like you, I don't know. Like, it's just, it feels kind of false and not, just not super genuine. Like, I don't know. I just think it's like, just explain to us how you neglected that in the first place. Don't pretend like you could ever make up for it right now in how you spread his legacy. Yeah.
In a YouTube video than it is to read a book. I'd like to make a video about Vito Russo, properly cited. And not.
Yeah. How you spread Vito Russo's legacy. Like, that's fine, but it's like you can never make up for it. So just understand that and just focus on your own self-improvement. You can always, when I say you can never make up for it, doesn't mean you're like cursed and terrible. It just means like, don't try to make up for it. Just focus on improving yourself and those qualities that led to that.
Just, copy paste it from a book. I want to do the work. I want to prove, not just to you, but to myself, that I can do the work. And that's why I've started making these documentaries.
I believe in you, James. I think you did this preemptively, and I think this is not ideal, but I believe in you. I don't think you should make videos for 6 to 12 months. But I do think I'm sure you're a fine person. Just don't make videos for a while, but you will. I'm sure you will, because you're not going to watch this. But
He's working on these. I can't.
And I just mean to give people time to cool down, ideally, but ideally I'm not his manager, yeah.
I can't really put into words how sorry I am. I've tried writing like a blog entry to say that I was sorry for about 2 months now. And I can't get across how sorry I am. And I know actions speak way louder than words. And I hope with my actions that I can show you that I am sorry. I'm sorry to everyone I plagiarized. I'm sorry to everyone I've hurt. I'm sorry to people who feel lied to. I'm sorry to people who feel like I abused the queer community. It was never my intention. Again, I'm sorry to Jesse. There were actually several other YouTubers who were very nice to me. But I feel like with everything that went down, Jesse is the one that I should apologize to the most. I'm sorry for the people who felt scammed, who thought that Telos was a grift. It was not. It is not. I am very sorry.
Hard edit. Let's slow it down for the last 15 seconds.
And I hope, given time, and my actions proving it, that you can believe me.
Yeah, not ideal. And then H Bomber guy video is queued up next. And then on cinema
on the channel.
Videos. So what do we think? Let's give it a grade F through A. What do we think? How do we grade the apology? What do we think of the apology? What do we think? How did he do? How did he do in terms of accountability and his taking of it? What do we think? It's a bit of a mixed bag. We got, just doesn't seem ideal, right? But what do we think? C tier, D plus, see me after class. Page 1 revisions, D, see me after class. Gotta want to make a tutorial for apology videos. Yeah, I'm always like, oh, I wish they consulted me. If James Somerton hit me up, I would have, been like, here's what you should do. D, I think he's genuine on some things, but a lot of things feel insincere. I'm more sorry you got caught. Yeah, it feels like that. D, F, D, 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 E, the rare E grade. Whoa, I kind of like that one. Non-apology, this is a pity party essay on James Somerton by James Somerton. Don't forget that. December was a D minus. This one was around C. Oh, December was yeah, D minus. I mean, it's hard to give an F to something where it's just sad and you just feel bad. So yeah. By American rules, F is below 50%. Is that an American thing? What do they do in Europe? What are they doing over in Europe? What are the Fs? What the F's going on in Europe in terms of F? Maybe there's a post-credit scene where he addresses the misogyny and the acephobia. Yeah, he addressed like Nick, his co-writer, and he being responsible for like projecting a specific view of being non-binary was the message I got. But like, I didn't really understand who did what there, and I didn't really... I didn't get where that was done or how that was done, so it didn't really click for me. Yeah, he mentioned Nick a lot. Like, Nick is really brought up a lot. And in my mind, the only reason to mention Nick here is to apologize to Nick for what James did. Like, I'm going to be honest, y'all. Let's be real. Did he specify? He never specifically said whether Nick ever did plagiarism. If Nick never did plagiarism, and you don't say Nick never did plagiarism, you're doing something wrong. Am I missing something? Did he say that? I didn't hear him ever say Nick is not responsible for plagiarism. So the only understanding to take away is that Nick is responsible, but I don't think that's fair. It's not said, it's not claimed outright, but why would you not be clear about that? Better Call Saul. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I appreciate that. That's a good point. Yeah, I don't believe there's any reason to think that Nick did anything wrong, but James doesn't indicate it, as far as I'm aware. Todd in the Shadows found that Nick made up stuff based on reading the headline and making up the rest via vibes. Well, that's bad, but that's different, right? That's bad in just a different way. Well, we're done, right? We watched the whole video. I'll make sure to... let me click towards the end so people who join the stream are not confused. We're done. He's done. Look, he starts like this, but he ends like this. So he's really sorry. Is it too late now to say sorry? 'Cause I'm missing more than just your subs. Yeah. So subscribe to H Bomber Guy. Is the point of my video. This stream is sponsored by H Bomber Guy. Or as they say in the UK, H Bomber Guy, I believe. I believe that's how they say it. Anything else we should talk about? Anything people are wondering or thinking about? Is there anything else we should talk about? We're pretty much done, right? This is done. I mean, I'm going to leave this stream public. You can watch it on the side channel. You know, I don't know if it'll, I don't know how to, I don't know if I can, you know, the side channel. Let's see. It's, that. So yeah, hope you're all doing well and had a good time hanging out and analyzing this apology. I don't think, yeah, so my grade for him is not a great grade. I don't think he did a good job. I think he like understands what he did wrong more than he's capable of expressing. I get the sense that he like gets that he did something wrong, but like doesn't really know how to just come out and address it. So he talks around it a fair bit, but maybe I'm being overly charitable. But I think he gets it on a deeper level than he's able to really communicate or get across. Yeah. But, yeah, so what else, y'all? Let's sentence the Emmys to 86 years in prison. Yeah, I don't, you know, it's like these award shows, they're just, you can't rely on them. You can't rely on them, you know. But yeah, I've been good. What is therapy anyway? Yeah, that's a good question. It's just a good way to chat and process things. I'll probably I do have a What's Therapy part 2 video. My first channel obviously being What's Therapy. But I'll probably do a second one. I do have a document where I have a few ideas going, but and I have some other ideas for the channel, some other stuff, but it's just slow going. Will James take this video down? Okay, that's a good question. So everyone answer snaps. Will James take this video down? Yes or no? Yes, Y in the chat, and no in the chat. Will James? I strongly do not think James is going to take this down. It feels like way too much work went into this. It feels like if you take down your second one, you're like done. It feels like he's really gone all in, but maybe that's sort of just a fallacy. Nothing to add, but you have good vibes. Thank you so much, Eminem. I try. Nick was a constant scapegoat, and you can blame a certain amount on not checking James on him, but he doesn't deserve the bulk of the shame. Definitely not from James himself, yeah. How are you today? Thanks, Pompano. I'm good. I'm good. I worked a good day today. I'm actually taking like the rest of the week off, and I'm gonna visit, just take a vacay and visit with some family. So that's pretty chill. So I'm pumped about that, and this is a fun way to kind of tip it off. And I hope you all enjoyed watching. What else? What would you do as a therapist to help with bad actions someone did, like to help them? Yeah, someone like James, I think he's totally capable of improving himself. I think, coming into therapy, he would just be talking about this and we'd just be working on, like, what happened? How'd you let that happen? How'd you let yourself do that? Like, why did you think that was okay? Like, what's going to be different? Like, he's a real guy. He's dealt with a lot of real stuff. I get that. I'm sympathetic. But, like, it's just a question of, like, you can't just let that lead you to... He's dug himself into a horrible hole. He has led himself into a horrible place. And so from a selfish point of view, it's like, you can't do this stuff. So it's like, there's a lot of ways to help someone just try to take accountability. What's going on? Why did it get to this point? Why'd you do this? How did one thing lead to another exactly? How hard is it to become a therapist? I was thinking of becoming one if my art career fails. Hey, I'm a therapist and working on my art career on the side. Being a therapist, it depends, but basically you often do need a master's. Depending, you could be like a counselor at some levels without a master's potentially, but you often need a master's and then like a fair amount of supervision hours. So it's like 2 to 3 years after getting a master's usually that you can be like a full-on therapist. But so a lot of people saying no to will James take the video down? Yeah. I did sort of bias that as well. So obviously everyone's just gonna say what I say because I'm the streamer. No, I'm just correct. I think. Oh, by the way, the can we talk about this? I commented on this video, but so a really good channel that's like reporting on the Illuminati stuff is called like McCatster. What's this channel called? Hold on. It's called, hold on, I have to scroll through all the On Cinema I watched yesterday. The amazing Taylor Lorenz interview. The Michael Cera video. Wow, I watch a lot of YouTube. I can't find it. Basically, I don't know. I thought I could find that. Okay, never mind. I am a Tim head and a Greg head. I just love the vibe. Anyways, I was just gonna say this guy who makes these videos on Illuminati, McCatster. What's his name? Do y'all know who I'm talking about? He's really good. I wanna shout him out. Hold on. I'm just trying to find the video. Illuminati, defy judge. It was something like that. Hold on. Oh yeah, here we go. Oh yeah. Hey there. Oh, sorry. Let me pull this up for you. He's really good. Mad Catster, and he made this video. He's a lawyer, and he just makes really dope, straightforward videos where he goes through situations and yeah. So let me post that for y'all. It's actually hard to. Okay. Here we go. So yeah, Mad Catster. Yeah. So all I wanted to say, and just I commented this on his video, so it's kind of weird to just bring it up in a live stream, but like, doesn't he kind of look like Chuck McGill? Doesn't he look like he's like a super nice Chuck McGill. He's like a really chill, very nice Chuck McGill. Am I wrong? Yeah, my first name is Woods. Okay, so you should check out his videos. It's really good. So anyways, yeah, so what else? Are we done? Is this it? Are we parting ways? How are we all doing? Chuck McGill if Jimmy never existed. That's fantastic. So, at the end of the day, we can all look. Really, this was fun. We're having a good time. But the real point is, like, you can always learn and grow. We all make mistakes. We all do bad things. There's a mistake. There's an error in judgment. There's neglect. There's malice. It's okay. No matter what you do, you can move on. But you have to address it for what it is. You don't want to talk around it. You just want to be able to address it head on, really take accountability and really grow. And I really do believe everyone can do that. You just have to really do it right. Peace out, Simply Snaps. My therapist switched to oncology counseling. Wow. Well, nothing you can do about that. He's Scott's Tots it. Are you watching? You're watching the earlier part. Chuck, if he loved electricity. Live streaming is fun, so I'll try to do a little bit more live streaming. I do have some other stuff that I can talk about in the future. I have like 50 chess games that I've collected that would be fun to talk about, but you all, it would be a little less exciting. But I think we had a good time doing this. I think this was worthwhile. Jesse Gender released a comprehensive response video on After Dark after James's first apology. Okay, yeah. I was just saying I had missed sort of what was going on there, but I thought it's good that he addressed it. The way he addressed it, I thought it was weird. I thought the order of how he addressed things should have been different for sure, but. Some tips to move on if you feel you have accepted responsibility for actions in the past, but your mind keeps bringing you back. I'd think at the end of the day, you don't want to force your mind to do something different, but you just want to kind of work with it, accept the trigger, but then manage the response. Sort of like, if your mind's bringing you back, maybe there's something to learn again about that experience and your thought process and what happened. Don't be afraid of it. Don't dwell, but don't avoid. So something in between that, I guess, would be my advice in that regard. Well, this was very fun, y'all. I had a great time. I'm really glad that you all came out and hung out. This was super fun, and I hope you have a great rest of your day and night and life. And I'll, eventually upload a video. It'll be months, probably. I don't see anything happening soon, but, this is good. We got a good channel. Go check out the old videos if you haven't. They're fairly fine. They get worse, the older back you go with some sporadic changes in that sort of pattern, but they're still worth checking out generally. But thank you so much for watching, I guess, and feel free to, if you really love my voice or whatever, you can subscribe to the Patreon or become a YouTube member and listen to the Verbal Journal podcast, where I do not burp live on the podcast, but I would probably edit it out. But yeah, you can subscribe to that if you want, the YouTube membership, or Patreon, for a few bucks. Just if you care to check that out. You're not missing anything. It's not important. Don't worry about it. But this was a great time, and I'm glad we could do this. And thank you so much for hanging. And okay, let's call it a night. All right. So catch you on the other side. And goodbye. Okay.